part of what I wanted to focus on was the idea of the long game, that all this stuff that we're dealing with coronavirus and the social isolation and the stressors that we're having because of it, that these are not things that go away in a really short time. You know, it looks like sometimes they're talking months for this to go on. And what I'm starting to hear from people and starting to notice is that people are, 3-4 weeks into this now, people are starting to burn out and they're starting to feel like, this needs to hurry up and be done. I can't take much more of this. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit and practice a little bit about the long game tonight. So some of the ways that I see it breaking down, for instance, are in hearing reports now about domestic violence escalating, across the world, not just here in America, but across the world. Hearing about medical teams and personnel quitting their jobs because they can't handle the stress anymore. They can't handle the conditions that they're working under. I'm hearing a lot of people that a couple of weeks ago were feeling really centered in their practice and they were feeling like they kind of were on top of this. And in the last couple of days, hearing that that in fact they're struggling and they're starting to feel more anxious. And so I wanted to just talk about how we play a long game here tonight. So let's go ahead and take some time to sit. And so find a comfortable posture, something that feels like you can hold it for a little while. And again, if you need to shift, by all means, you please do. And over the last couple of weeks, we had worked out some ways of emptying, using our breath to empty. And tonight, I want to go ahead and give you a different practice. So just invite you to get comfortable where you are. And just take a couple of breaths just to arrive, just to show up here. Letting go of your day, letting go of all the stories you may be carrying around today. And tonight we're going to do a body-centered practice. So I invite you to bring your attention down to your feet. Just take your mind and notice your feet, and you can wiggle your ankles if you want to help you feel your feet. Just noticing your feet. And noticing any tightness or tension that you're holding in your feet. Just allow that tightness, that tension, to just imagine it could drain out, that it just drains out of the bottom of your feet, into the floor or the earth. You may notice there's some heat. And any tightness or tension, you're just letting it drain out into the floor. And again, you can wiggle your feet if you want to kind of stretch them a little bit. Find those little nooks and crannies of tightness. And then allowing your attention to come up into your legs. And we'll just work with your calves and shin and your feet together here. And again, you might wiggle your legs a little bit just to kind of stretch them. Just kind of feel the tension that might be held in the calves. And again, gently, just with the out-breath, just releasing. Just allow that energy to drain out the bottom of your feet into the earth, into the floor below. It's okay that the tension is here. We just don't need to hold on to it. Just letting your legs relax. Now noticing your knees. And your thighs. And again, if you want to wiggle them a little bit, that's okay. We're just letting all the tightness and the tension just drain out the bottom of our feet. And if you've been on your feet all day, you might want to just send them a little love, a little gratitude, some kind attention and gratitude for carrying you all day. And again, you may notice some heat or warmth, and just letting that flow out as well. Letting your legs rest. And let go. And now including your sit bones, your pelvic area, your hips. And just letting any tightness or stress that's held in this area, letting that flow out the bottom of your feet as well. Especially if you have any pain in your hips or legs. Just letting that pain flow out. It's okay that it's here, But we don't have to cling to it or brace against it. And letting your bottom and your hips, your pelvic area sink into your cushion. Letting it receive the support of your cushion. So we're just emptying and settling on our cushion or our chair. Feeling safe in this moment. Letting go of all the extra tension and energy. All flowing out of the bottom of your feet. And including now your back. Noticing any tightness or bracing, any pain in your back. And just as you're breathing out, just letting it go. Letting it too flow down your legs, out into the earth, into the floor. And if you want to wiggle your back and stretch your back a little bit, again, just to kind of make some room or find some of the stress in the nooks and crannies, you can do that. Maybe take a full breath so you stretch your back out for a moment. And then let all that tension just flow out. Move on. Little tender love for your back that holds you up, supports you all day. And include now any tension that you notice in the front of your body, allowing that to drain. You may have been bracing your heart all day, but you don't have to now. You can let go. And including also the sides of your torso, where your ribs wrap around. Just any tension there, just letting it flow out. And taking a moment to include your organs. They often hold stress as well. And just a letting go so that they can come back to their natural rhythm. No need to brace or hold. All this tension flowing into the floor or the earth. And the earth is big enough. Our tension is like a tablespoon of salt. If we mixed it in a glass of water, it would be a lot. But what we're doing is putting it in the ocean. The earth is big enough to hold this energy. So as you feel yourself emptying, you may notice your body feels more centered, or strong. It can be like a mountain. Stable. Quiet. And go ahead now and include your shoulders and your arms and hands. And if the energy wants to drain out of your hands and fingers, that's fine. Or it may take the same path and go down through the legs, out the feet. Letting all that tightness and tension just drain away, flow out back into energy. And include your neck now. Again, if you want to rock your neck, wiggle your neck a little, or your shoulders, you can do that. But just letting this tightness or tension drain away. No need to hold on to it. And include your head now. Checking in with your jaw. If you need to move your jaw, you can move your jaw. Stretch your neck. Stretch your face. And just letting the energy again fall away, draining out the bottom of your feet. Paying attention to your face and just allowing it to soften. You don't have to be on now. Letting go of the tension of being on. And if you have some tension that wants to release out of the top of your head, that's totally fine. Just let that rise off. And so your whole body now is just draining, letting go of tension, letting go of tightness. Feeling the support of your cushion or your chair. And coming back to sitting like a mountain. letting yourself be a mountain, feeling the strength of your body. The heaviness. The spaces deep inside the tunnels and the space deep within. And as you're sitting as this mountain for a moment, let there be seasons. The wind changes, the weather changes, and you are a mountain. Feel the solid that's here. And even though there's weather, you're perfectly fine. Well suited to this. Mountains are made for this. And don't forget to include some beautiful weather too. Spring, and bird songs, sunshine. Feeling the warmth of the sun as you sit strong and centered. Remembering this part of you. So go ahead now and you can let go of the mountain for a moment. And just allow yourself now to take a moment and recall something that you feel grateful for. Bringing gratitude to this moment. It may be a person in your life or an event, an animal, something that you're grateful for. And let yourself really feel that gratitude. It might actually bring a smile to your face. And let yourself remember to breathe it through your whole body. You don't have to push it, but just allowing it through your whole body. So your whole body feels this gratitude. Including your mind and your heart. Let it really soak through your cells, your bones. Being nourished by this. So, I hope you could feel the quieting and the strength that comes with that. Being a mountain, we can stay for eons, letting the weather change and move. The seasons come and go. And so I wanted to just say a few words about how we play a long game, one of the ways we can play a long game. And we often get undone in a long game because we lose perspective. We've lost perspective for a moment. We got overwhelmed, we got overtired, something happened, and we lost our seat and we just spun out for a moment. And one of the ways that that happens is when we lose our perspective, one of the kind of tricks our mind plays on us is the idea of forever. We get really stuck that something's going to be forever. It's not going to move, it's not going to change. As a therapist, one of the things I used to love to do with people to kind of play with this was just invite people into their favorite fantasy. Like, what would be your ultimate vacation? And I'd say, oh, I'll just make something up. I want to be in Hawaii in a hot springs with a waterfall, and it's beautiful. I'd ask, what would you like? What would make it even better? Oh, I'll take a pina colada or something. Oh, okay, fine, whatever. Perfect weather. And you get somebody situated in this perfect, beautiful moment, and I would say, okay, close your eyes. Are you there? And they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. And I'd say, okay, so notice what happens when you hear, you have to stay here forever. And the person would jump and go, what? Stay here forever? Because that forever can really undo us. We don't want to be stuck anywhere forever. And luckily, life is not that way. So what I want to introduce tonight is just what I call the three perspectives. Sometimes they're called the three characteristics, and they just help us keep perspective on what's going on. And so the first one is that everything in our world is temporary. Everything is temporary. Everything changes. Life flows. It flows. You know, it would be very easy for us to sit here and if I said close your eyes for 30 seconds, count how many things you notice, you'd notice a bunch of things. Oh, there's a thought, a sensation, I got a pain, I got that. Life is always bubbling and changing and flowing. And this is really important when you're in a stressful situation. And that could be something like, you know, if you work in a really stressful job and your shift, it's only as long as your shift, this difficulty that you're with, this day. If you have kids, you know, this is going to change. It's definitely going to change. Nothing is lasting forever. And so that's the first one, to just tell yourself this is temporary. This is temporary. It's only going to last a couple of hours, a couple of minutes, whatever. The second perspective is that everything is conditioned. Everything is conditioned in our life. So things only happen because certain conditions have come together. And when those conditions break down, whatever this moment is will stop. And so conditions change all through our day, all through the years. It's like the seasons with the mountains, right? You only have spring equinox when the earth is positioned at a certain place near, you know, around the sun. You only have winter when the earth is placed at a certain place around the sun. These conditions have to be here for these seasons to be here. And so noticing that when the conditions change, this will stop. And that's good and bad. So for instance, you know, let's say you're a parent and you're having a hard time with your kids. They're going to go to sleep tonight, eventually, you know, and you might be in the middle of a tantrum with them, and then 4 hours from now, you know, they're asleep and they look like little angels in bed. And you're like, oh, they're so cute. You know, 4 hours ago, that was not the case, right? Or you're exhausted. You know, you're at a shift at work and you're just exhausted. You can't handle anything. And you go home and you sleep. And tomorrow's a whole new day. I can handle this job again. It's okay. Yeah. With our children, they even grow up. So, you know, they're not going to be 7 forever. They're not going to be 10 forever. They're not going to be 14 forever. You know, all these conditions are changing and flowing all the time. So sometimes you might have to change the conditions to get yourself out of some stress. A good one that I like to use is changing my environment. So if I'm really stressed in a situation, shift my environment. Change something. Just go outside for 5 minutes. And suddenly you get a breath of fresh air and you get a new perspective. Now you can come back and deal. So this idea that conditions are causing this, another way to say it is conditions are such that stress is like this right now. Yeah. And the third perspective is that this is not who I am. Whatever this moment is, it's not the accumulation of all of me, right? Let's just do a little experiment around that for a moment. I just invite you to close your eyes for just a moment and just take a couple of breaths. And I invite you to think of something that maybe you've done in the last couple of weeks that maybe you don't feel so good about, you're not proud of. Maybe you had a moment you were mean, or you were selfish, or you yelled at somebody, or you ate all your quarantine snacks, you know, whatever it might be. And just feel into that, noticing, oh, you know, it feels like this in the body. There may be a contraction. I felt some shame. I don't feel good about that. And now I just invite you to feel deeply into your core. And I ask the question, is this who you really are? Is this who you really are? And just feel into that for a moment. So maybe just hearing from maybe one or two people, just wondering, what was that like? I have this moment of stress or shame, and then just asking this deeper question, is that who I really am? What did you notice?
I noticed a sense of almost protecting myself by saying, no, that's not who I am. Like this sense of almost defending myself against myself.
Yeah. So you could feel that there was something more to this story. Like, that's not all of me. That's not all of who I am. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, beautiful.
But even that it wasn't kind to even think that was all of who I am.
Sure. Yeah. It's judgmental, right? It's shutting us down. It's limited. Yeah. Anybody else? How many people notice that when they asked, is this all of, or is this really who I am, that they felt some kind of release happen? Some kind of softening or stepping back? Yeah, so there's some people saying they felt something release or let go. Yeah, because it's not our whole story. It's just a moment. And again, this is only a moment based off of the conditions of stress. Temporary conditions of stress created this moment. And it creates this moment of fear. It also creates positive moments, like it created this moment of joy. If conditions were such that you won the lottery, maybe that would make you very excited. And you'd have this moment of jumping up and down saying, yes, this is awesome. And that would just be a moment too. Tomorrow you get up and you have a flat tire, and it doesn't matter if you won the lottery. Now you're upset that your tire got, blown out or something. So these three perspectives help us do the long game. The idea that we just sit and stop when we're overwhelmed and we're like, this is temporary. Conditions are such. This is just conditions in this moment. And it's not who I am. Whatever's showing up in this moment is not the full story of who I am. There's so much more here. Yeah. When we let go and we step back and let go of that, we come back into the present moment. We come back into some compassion for ourselves. We come back into the conditions for us to be able to stay with this experience, to be able to get through the day, to be able to make it through this shift, whatever it might be. And we might have to remind ourselves of this 20 times a day, and that's okay. That's okay. The truth is, the people that are the most centered, the most calm, those are people that are living in the present moment, just right here. If any of you saw the movie Frozen 2, which I got to see, there's this scene where Anna is totally overwhelmed, and she sings this song about just doing the next right thing, just taking the next step. So when we're overwhelmed, we let go of the big story. Let go of it. It's all temporary. We come back to this moment and just take care of this next moment. It might be getting a glass of water, going to the bathroom, going outside for a minute. What's the next right thing for you to do for yourself? And you can make a whole day out of just doing the next right thing if it's a really hard day. You can get through that whole day just doing the next right thing. So I want to invite you for yourself to play here and to find a little nourishment around these three things. You know, that everything is temporary, life is flowing, conditions are such in this moment, and this is just a moment of me. It's just a moment of me. And so this week, I just want to invite you to take some time maybe and go sit outside. You know, spring is beginning, and go sit in a park or some place where there's some nature around, some trees, and just close your eyes and give yourself, it doesn't matter if you do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it doesn't matter, 5 minutes would be great. And just close your eyes and let life go by. Just watch the conditions unfolding in the flow, moment to moment to moment. No need to grab them, no need to be graspy, just allow it to wash over you. One of the things I've been doing every morning is doing a standing mindfulness piece where I go out in the woods and I just stand for about 10 or 15 minutes. And it is so wonderful to just be washed by spring, to just be washed by spring. And in that moment, you'll see what's showing up are the three perspectives. Everything is flowing. There's a bird sound. Now there's not. Now there's a different bird. Oh, there's the wind. Conditions are such. You know, it's sunny, it's windy. Here's the conditions. And whatever's arising in me is just a moment. There might be, oh, that bird song is pleasant. Oh, now the breeze is too cold. I'm unpleasant. I don't like that one. I'm changing moment to moment. I'm happy. I'm not. I'm flowing too. And if we come to see the world flowing and us flowing, then we can handle this long game because we're not getting caught in forever. We're not getting caught in never, always, none of those conditions. So I just want to invite you guys this week to play with the flow. See the flow, find the flow, watch it, ride it. Eventually we come to trust it because all things will change. And when we empty out like we did tonight, we can have a moment of being a mountain and we can handle whatever seasons are coming. Yeah. So let's just sit for just a moment. I want to take a mindful moment in closing. And in this moment, to just invite in the idea that these practices can help us come home to our center, release our tension, and that we can handle the long game. We can be like the mountain that's not that bothered by the wind and the weather and the seasons. That we can keep perspective. Everything is temporary. Everything is conditioned. And whatever I'm doing in a moment is just a moment of me. It's not all of me. And may all other beings find some ease, some practice that helps them be able to do the long game as well. That they come to their deeper nature and see that they have everything they need to do this. It's just all within. When we rely on things outside of us, it's unstable. When we learn how to practice within, we have everything we need for the flow of life. So thank you for your kind attention, and I hope that this is of service to you and helps you out there in the world so that you can keep your seat and be at ease.